Hi, Grandma Debbie here. So I grew up in the northern part of our state, and so did my husband. That's where we met. That's where we got married. That's where we started having our family. And then we moved to the southern part of the state. Well, while we were living there, while I was growing up, there was a restaurant. Now, I grew up in Douglas County, and it was a small community when I was growing up there. And to get anything, um, food wise, you had to go into the next town over, which was Carson City. And so um, we would go there, or we would go up to Lake Tahoe sometimes because it's really close to Lake Tahoe as well. But we would go to Carson City and we'd go to a restaurant called the Sizzler. Now, I believe that they're still around, but I'm not 100% positive. It's been a while since I've gone to one. In fact, the last time I went to one that I can remember was in 2017 when I had to go to California for my grandmother's funeral. And so they had a Sizzler there, and we went and we had dinner, and it brought back a lot of memories. Well, whenever I would go, I always ordered the Malibu chicken. Malibu chicken has, it's breaded chicken, and it has ham and Swiss cheese on top of it. And so I absolutely loved it. And I would get a steak with it. I didn't care too much about the steak. That was okay if I got it. And if on rare occasions I could get 2 Malibu chickens instead of a steak, I was really excited about that. Then I always got a baked potato and I got a salad. I'd go to a trip to the salad bar. Well, the baked potatoes that you got there were not very big ones. They were kind of small, which was fine because I didn't want that. I wanted the Malibu chicken more than anything else. So, and whenever I'd go to the salad bar, I know I'm probably weird. I'm probably the only one that ever does this. I always got cottage cheese. I love cottage cheese. So that's what I would get. Sometimes I'd get an actual leafy green salad, but most of the time it was just cottage cheese. And but that's what we would do, and we loved it. Then when we moved here, oh sorry, got a little itch there. Then when we moved here to the southern part of the state, there was a couple Sizzlers, but they closed down shortly after we moved here. So it's like I said, it's been a while. And I was watching something the other day on YouTube, and they were talking about restaurants that were going out of business or had gone out of business. And Sizzler was on that list. And I thought, oh, when my husband and I started talking about the different things that we would get, because he always did the all-you-can-eat shrimp, or he would do a steak of some sort, a larger steak than what I would normally get. And so we started talking about it, and I thought, oh, if I could find that recipe for the Malibu chicken. So I found what I'm hoping is a copycat of it. And I'm going to bring you along for it. But I'm also going to bring you along for the whole entire dinner. We're going to be having corn on the cob and baked potatoes. Now, I did go with the size of potatoes that I would have gotten at the Sizzler because I figured, why not? Why not stick with tradition? Normally, I do an actual baked potato, but this time I went with smaller ones because, like I said, that's what we've gotten at the Sizzler. All right, so we're going to get going, and I'm going to bring you along. All right, let's get going. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the dipping sauce because it did come with a delicious dipping sauce. So we're going to start off with, now I am cutting the recipe in half, but on the sauce I think I'm going to keep it the same because why not? It's delicious. All right, so we're going to do 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise, and that's probably 3. And I got mayonnaise all over my hand, of course. All right, let me wash off my hand real quick. Okay. We're almost out of the mayonnaise. All right, then we're going to do 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. I need to get some more Dijon. I don't use a lot of it. Okay, we've got that. Then we're going to do 1 teaspoon of regular mustard. And 1 teaspoon of honey. You can use whatever kind of honey you like. I'm just using, I don't even know what I'm using, Kirkland. Okay. Now this is going to go into the refrigerator until the dinner is completely made. It smells good. All right, so I'm going to get this in the refrigerator, but I am going to taste it. Oh yeah, I totally remember that taste. All right, so I'm going to clean up my mess and we're going to get started on the next phase. Okay, for whatever reason, my camera just stopped working on me. I don't know why. I don't know what happened there, but that's okay. So I don't know what part you missed, but I'm just spreading olive oil all over my potatoes. And then I'm going to take seasoning. You can use whatever seasoning you want to use. We change it up all the time. So right now I'm using Buttery Steakhouse and the blend. And I'm just going to cover each piece or each potato with some seasoning. And it doesn't hurt if you over season because it's just the skin. But you do have to be careful sometimes. Okay, now I'm going to turn them over. Do the same thing. Must have just opened this one because it's like really hard to get out. Oh well, things happen. All right, so now I'm going to move this off to the side and we're going to work on our chicken. Okay, so now on to doing the chicken. Now I've got my oven preheating to 425. I've got a cookie sheet. Now I'm cutting the recipe in half because like I said, it's only 2 of us. I got a cookie sheet over here that has a wire rack on it. And I'm just going to go ahead and spray the wire rack with cooking spray. Okay. Now I'm going to take half a stick of butter and I'm going to melt it. Okay. And then I'm going to add in some more Dijon mustard. So I'm going to add in a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Whoop, I almost flung it all over the kitchen. I really got to get some more. Oh, that's funny. All right, so we got that. So I'm just going to mix it up. I'm just going to use this spoon to do it. No, I'm not because I can't get it out of there. Problems. Okay. And then we're going to just move this up here out of the way. And then here, we're going to take, and we're going to add an 1/8 of a cup of Parmesan sugar, oh my gosh, cheese. Just ignore me. Now Okay, I did more than that. What was supposed to. I guess I should be paying attention. Okay, and if you need to add more cheese, by all means do. And then I'm going to add in some Italian breadcrumbs. I'm just going to add in about a little under a half a cup. And then I'm going to kind of mix that up. Do you ever notice that you go through 9 million dishes when you're trying to make something? I'm usually so good about not doing that kind of stuff, but lately I have just been using every dish I own. So, oh well, it is what it is. Okay, got that mixed up. Okay, now we're going to take our chicken, and I'm going to find my mallet. We're going to pound our chicken to where they're both the same size. I'm going to get some saran wrap to put over the top. Okay, I got my saran wrap. Pull it up, camera up a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. And I did just take one chicken breast and we cut it in half. But I want to make for sure that the chicken is pretty much the same size. Which means that I need to just flatten it out a little bit. Okay, looks like it's kind of pretty much the same size, maybe a little more over on this side. Whoa, sorry about that. All right, I decided to go ahead and get my potatoes in the oven. Okay, so we got that done. Let's move these out of the way. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to, what are we going to do? All right, so we're going to dip each piece of chicken into the trying to find a camera angle that gets everything in there, into the butter mixture first. And you just want to make for sure it's all covered. And then we're going to dip it into the panko breading, or not panko, this is Italian. And you want to make for sure that this is fully covered everywhere, all over the place. Every little nook and cranny. All right, got that done. And we're just going to put it over here onto and then we're going to do the next one. Once again, making for sure that you're covering the whole thing in mustard and in the, all right, and then we're going to bring it over here. Get it all nice and covered. All right, and then this one's going to go on here as well. I think it needs to be touched up where I touched it. All right, let me wash my hands real quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back from washing my hands. All right, so this is going to go into the oven for, how long? For about 20 to 25 minutes. And I'm going to flip it halfway through. So at about the 15-minute mark, I'm going to flip it. And I'll bring you back for the next step. Okay, a step I forgot to tell you was that before you take this and put it into the oven, you want to kind of lightly spray cooking spray on the chicken. All right, now it can go into the oven. Okay, we're on to the next step, which is the corn. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to shuck our corn and get it ready. Now the way I do my corn is very simple. After I finish this part, I leave it sitting there, then I boil a pot of water, and then when I boil the pot of water, once it comes to a boil, I turn the heat off and I put my corn in it and I put a lid on it and I let it sit for about 10 minutes until we're ready to eat. And it comes out hot and delicious. And I usually keep a garbage can close by when I'm doing this so that I have some place to toss all this. Because as you can tell, it makes a mess when you start taking off all the little silk. But there is nothing like fresh corn. It is so delicious. And I usually get the silk all over the place. So I try not to worry too much about the fact that I'm going to have silk everywhere. I like to try and get off as much of this as I possibly can. I'm not always successful. All right, on to the next one. There's something about fresh corn that is just so delicious. Now, they actually used to let us do this at the grocery store, and then all of a sudden they stopped it, so I don't know why they stopped it, unless they didn't want to have to deal with the mess anymore. So we used to stand there when we would buy our corn, and we would do this there, and then the mess never came home with us. Suddenly they stopped letting us do it. So we bring the mess home now with us. All right. Now I'm going to cut off the ends to get all the silk off my hands. All right. Got that one done. Still have some silk on it. All right, so I'm going to clean up, leave the corn sitting there until it's ready to go into a pot of boiling water, and I'll bring you back for that. Okay, so I've got the pot going now. I'm going to get it boiling. Once it starts boiling, I'm going to add the corn and it'll go in there. Or I'll turn off the heat and then I'll add the corn and I'll put the lid on and it will boil, or it will cook there for 10 minutes. All right, so I've already turned the chicken once and it's getting ready for the next step. And the next step is adding ham and cheese to each chicken breast. All right, so It looks like it's got 3 minutes left on the timer, so I'll bring you back in about 3 minutes. Okay, so the chicken is done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a piece of deli meat on each one of the chicken breasts. Oh, and I did take out the potatoes, so they're just sitting off to the side, and I'm making a mess. So use whatever kind of deli ham you want to use. Then I'm going to place one piece of Swiss cheese on top. But you want to make for sure it's thin ham. Let's see. All right, so now this is going to go back into the oven until the cheese is all melted and bubbly on top. And my water still has not reached a boil yet, but it's getting close. So everything is coming together just great. So I'll bring you back when it's done. Okay, so the water is boiling. So I'm just going to place the corn inside. I'm going to turn off the heat. And I'm going to put the lid on. And now it's just going to sit here. All right, and so I'll bring you back when dinner is done, and I'll show you the final product. Okay, so the chicken is done, the potatoes are done, and the corn is just sitting here cooking. All right, so we're going to be eating dinner here real soon because everything's ready to go, and I'm looking forward to it. It smells delicious. So I just want to thank you for coming along with me on this adventure. It's been fun. I hope that you're having an amazing day and everything's going great for you. Hit that like, hit the share, and hit the subscribe button. Also, give this recipe a try. If you've ever been to the Sizzler and you like their chicken, give it a try. All right. Also, try out my corn recipe. It really is delicious done that way. I don't know how other people do it. My mom and my husband used to boil it to death. There's no need for that. So give it a try. Maybe there's something that I'm missing that I should know about. All right, we'll give it a try. Potatoes, once again, they're cooked. They're ready to go. And give that a try as well. We love our baked potatoes that way. So where all we do is cover them with olive oil. Usually, if we buy the bigger ones from Costco, which is where we usually get our baked potatoes from, we microwave them first. My husband usually does about anywhere from 5 to 11 minutes. It depends in the microwave. It depends on how many potatoes he's doing, but that's usually what we do. Then we put them in the oven till the skin is all nice and crispy and golden brown and delicious. All right. Well, once again, I hope that you're having an amazing day, and hit that like, hit the share, and hit the subscribe button, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.